The only thing from a council comment standpoint that I want to bring up, and I've had some exchanges back and forth with staff, particularly Darren Wilson on this item, is I went out to visit a constituent who had complained about something that was being built in a backyard of one of the neighbors, and went out and met with about 3 or 4 of the neighbors who one of them was building an accessory dwelling unit, which Darren reminded me that we had changed our code to be consistent with state law regarding accessory dwelling units. But this thing is 16 feet tall, which is permitted. It's 4 foot off of the back fence, which is permitted. And it does not have to, the owner does not have to own either the primary dwelling or this home, which is addressed to a completely different street and probably has a bus stop within half a mile, and so therefore doesn't have any parking. So my point in saying all of this is that their complaint, which was valid and which I think we all recognized when we did this in order to be uniformity with state mandate, is it completely changes the entire nature of the neighborhood. And they said that, that it takes it from a RD5 designation to an RD6. And I said, no, actually, it takes it to an RD10 because each one of the houses could do the same thing in their backyard. So I would like, and I'm willing to do this offline with staff, but I'd like to take a look at exactly what we can do to somehow put some local control back in our land use provisions. That particularly with the respect to this, I don't understand why, if the brand new house is being built, it has to have a 5-foot setback, but this apparently can have a 4-foot setback. I mean, that's just one inconsistency. In addition, the point that they brought up was all of the utilities had been sized for the impact or the amount of development that had been proposed, and so now to essentially double that by right. Drains certainly the grid, impacts the amount of sewer confluence. And so I think this is an issue. And I don't know if any of the rest of you have had anybody else bring it up, but this certainly was the first time I saw the real world application of this change. And I don't think it's right.
Interesting. Yeah, I actually a few months ago, now that you mention it, someone did bring it to my attention. And I agree with you as it comes to local control and having consistent communities based on how, what we envision and what the community envisions. And you can easily go sideways with something that's inconsistent. And as I recall, though, back with the intent of the ADUs is one aspect of addressing affordable housing. But with that, the law of unintended consequences, of course, is right. So I would be in support of you bringing back information and see what our, what can we do given the legal constraints. I see Councilmember Soon, your hand is raised.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I think both of you touched on what I was going to say, and of course I would support taking a look at it as well. I just want to further emphasize, it's not just local control, right? It's how it affects the infrastructure in our community. You're not just talking about the, sewer impacts to sewer and water needs, but also, we just went through a change for Quimby requirements for parking on a parcel that wasn't set for residents before. So these are unanticipated, residents that would be there. School generation rates, for folks who aren't familiar with how development is done, there's a generation rate, a number of occupancy per residential home or per density, and you've just created more need now for our impacted schools. So these are the unintended consequences, Madam Mayor, I think you were referring to. And I think we definitely need to take a look at this in terms of how it'll affect our community in the long term. Thank you.
Absolutely. And what I'm seeing in some other cities is the ADUs are not being used to address affordable housing, but it's a supplemental income. There goes the neighborhood.